Um, Hello, everyone. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to jump on. Let's see, what is it telling me now? Close your things. Okay. All right, we're on. We're live. The only thing I can't see is you guys commenting. Let me just check and see. Ah, yay. Hi, Trish. I can see you commenting. Okay, this is so great. I've got it, you guys. I've got it. Any of you who were with me last year, I had such a hard time figuring out where to go live from because there's all these things, and I don't know, Facebook is just not intuitive for me. I do most of my stuff on Zoom, and I don't know. Facebook is not intuitive. But here we are. We are live. I am here. You guys are jumping on. It's really good to see you. You obviously found the link. I intend to have this link on there every day. Anyways, I'll talk about logistics later. Welcome. So glad you all are here. Today, I want to mainly focus on what we're going to do for the next 9 weeks, how this is going to look, introduce myself to those of you who don't know me very well, and then just talk about some logistics. And then we'll get into the real meat of everything starting tomorrow and Friday. And then our first challenge will start next week, all the things. Okay. So Eliza Kingsford here, for those of you who don't know me. I am a licensed psychotherapist. I'm a mind-body practitioner. I am certified and trained in neuro-emotional technique, emotional freedom technique, energy psychology. I do a lot of belief systems and identity work. My background is in weight management, body image, and for about 20 years, I've been helping people who are struggling with body image and weight issues. Many of you are here because you read my book, Brain Powered Weight Loss, or a friend invited you. But I have extensive history in this field of the psychology of eating and weight and body image. So for those of you who are here for, food plans or exercise plans or recipe ideas, this is not the right place for you. I'll be honest. Not that, there's people in this group who have wonderful ideas for recipes and food plans and exercise plans and things like that. But I don't do the diet and exercise so much as I do the psychology behind our behaviors and why we do what we do, why we engage in repetitive behaviors over and over again, why we can't get out of our own way, why we end up in the same place and yo-yo diet back and forth every year. Those are the things that I really deal with and work with most. That's what I love to do. So my history is that I worked for 15, 16 years in the field of obesity and weight management in clinical settings. They're actually clinical camp settings for youth, and we treated over 10,000 kids in that, decade and a half, about 15 years or so. We treated over 10,000 kids and their families in a clinical setting, again, with the sort of psychology approach to what was happening with food and weight management. I sat on scientific advisory boards with some of the best minds in this field. I feel so grateful that I have been mentored and trained by some of the best scientific minds in this field. And while I was sitting on scientific advisory boards, the question I kept asking myself, because I was, the youngest member of the boards, and these were very esteemed colleagues who had published hundreds of research papers and dozens of clinical textbooks and things like that. And I kept thinking, what am I doing here? I'm good at what I do, but these people are so esteemed. And what I realized when I was on these boards is that I was truly there to bridge the gap between what we know and what we do. The difference between knowledge and implementation, right? So a research study can only tell us so much. It can tell us what happens in the body, but then even when we know better, we don't do better, right? So what I realized my role was to bridge this gap between what we know from the research and what we do as human beings, right? And from that work, really really spurred this interest and desire in me to understand the knowing doing gap. Why don't we do better even when we know better? Why do we keep repeating the same behaviors and patterns over and over and over again, even though we know they're not good for us? And that led me down to now about a decade's worth of knowledge and experimentation and learning and research with the brain and neurosciences, psychoneuroimmunology, quantum physics, the quantum field, and really understanding not only our mechanism up here, our brain mechanism, but also the psychology and the emotion and the limbic system, putting those things together to understand how we can do better as human beings, how we can evolve up and outside of these patterns that keep us stuck, up and outside of the thoughts, the behaviors, the belief systems, the way that we sort of swim in our own washing machine of junk, right, over and over again. That's what really excites me. So I evolved out of running companies, training clinicians, running companies, into my own work, where I have been able to write my own clinical model and own clinical theory. And I run group and individual programs now for my own company from the comfort of my own chair. And I am loving it. I am loving this sort of next evolution of what I do. So for those of you who have read my book, Brain Powered Weight Loss, it's not required. If you have, awesome. If you haven't, no big deal. You're still in the right place. But that was really a foundational set of principles about really learning how to identify the connection between our emotions and food, or our behaviors around food, why we choose food, how we choose food, when we choose food, and that it's not just a conscious choice, and we also have patterns of what we get stuck in. So Brain Powered Weight Loss is designed not as a weight loss book so much as a, hey, can we become aware of our patterns of behaviors and ways of thinking that get in the way of us being successful. I wrote that book in, I guess it was 2015. It came out in 2017. And since then, I have really continued to evolve and expand on those concepts into sort of what I call like level 2, and the next level of these concepts of the way our mind, the role our mind and our belief systems and identity play in the decisions we make throughout our lives. So all of that is to say, if you are here, I am glad to have you. I know many of you will be watching this later. My goal through the next, I think it's 10 weeks or something like that, through the first week of January, is to help you navigate the holidays in a different way, maybe a different way than you've ever thought about them before. To help you start making these connections between your patterns of behavior with food and what's happening for you both emotionally and mentally, and to start to make shifts in those patterns. You'll hear me go in and out of research mode. I have a very analytical research mind. I love research. I love neuroscience. I love what science tells us. And I also love what the art tells us. I love energy psychology. I love some of these more, what some people would consider mystical experiences, right? So I have this balance of science and art, and I love how they go together. To me, they go together really well. My analytical brain wants to know why everything happens. But then there's that part of me that once I understand the why, I can let go and let the art of it flow. So you'll hear a lot of that in these conversations over the next few months. And what I want to help you do is navigate what the research is telling us happens over the next few months. So what we know from research is that it's not so much, there's this misconception that people gain a ton of weight over the holidays. While that is true, while all research supports that people do gain some weight over the holidays, when they have had meta-analyses of many research studies, they have shown across all groups, cultures, geographic locations, they have shown that there has been some weight gain over the holidays. What is more interesting is that what happens is over time, we don't lose that weight. And so if you think about it in this perspective, many of you in this group are I'm just going to overgeneralize, are in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, right? So decades of, and the research shows that this starts in the college age population, okay? So decades of us going through this period of time, these next few months, right now, through the holidays, this period of time where, you know, we gain a little bit of weight, right? There's a lot of family, there's a lot of treats, there's a lot of special occasions, no matter what you're celebrating. During this time, the weather in most places gets cooler depending on where you are in the world. And, you know, for the sake of what we're doing here and to not confuse myself, I'm going to keep us in parts of the world where, you know, my part of the hemisphere, we're moving into colder times of the year, darker times of the year. And these change our patterns of behavior. And during this time of the year, the research does support that we gain a little bit of weight, right? But the interesting thing is that it also shows that in follow-up studies, we never lose it. And so the body slowly and systematically starts to adjust its set point, right? Because you gain a few pounds. Let's call it 3 to 7 or something. That's not a scientific study, but that's, you know, it's people would address that as relatively minimal, right? So it's not rapid, acute weight gain. It's more chronic weight gain. And it's the fact that we gain it and then don't lose it that ends up being an accumulative effect, right? So if you do that for 10 years and you're gaining 2, 3, 4 pounds and then you never lose it, well, think about that. In 10 years' time, now we have this accumulative effect. Not only do we have the cumulative effect, but the body, because it is minimal weight gain, and it's not rapid and it's not quick, the body has time to just adjust, just bit by bit, just adjust to this weight gain, and it gets super comfortable. You'll hear me talk a lot in the span of the next few months about homeostasis and how much your body loves homeostasis. It just loves being comfortable right where it is, right? And so if you think about it in this way, if we're just gaining a couple of pounds over the course of the holidays, it's just this subtle, minute weight gain that the body can get really comfortable with, and therefore it has a really hard time letting it go. And the body will start to work against you and want to keep it on because that becomes its new normal, its new homeostasis. Okay? I'm jumping ahead of myself here, but that is the reason why I wanted to come on and support you all for the next couple of months. We did this last year. It was super fun. I was much less organized. I just jumped on whenever I could during the day. Now I have a set time slot. Pretty much every day I'll be on about this time. Of course, it so happens that something filled in my calendar for this Friday. So you'll see on the invite this Friday, we're just an hour later, but pretty much every day you'll see the invite, you'll see the time. It's going to be 9 o'clock Mountain Time, so that's 8 o'clock Pacific Time, 11 o'clock Eastern Time. I'll be on this day, I'll be on this time. We'll go for 15, 20, 30 minutes. I might be on there longer. If you know me, you know that sometimes I can get going and then we just go. Logistics, they will all live here on Facebook. If you're watching this now, obviously you have a Facebook account and you're okay with Facebook. I'll be on here live. You can join me live. You can write in the comments and I'll take a look at them and look at questions. If you don't do Facebook, this will be posted to Mighty Network. And I will put a link to the Mighty Network here if you want to join Mighty Network. The Mighty Network is off of social media. It's my Mighty Network account. You can go on there. You can watch all the videos. They'll be under the topic. If you do join Mighty Network, there will be a video there to show you how to use Mighty Network. So I don't need to talk about that right now. But the videos will live here. I will number them so you can understand which day you're on. I think there's about 50 days that we're going to do this together. So there'll be a lot of cool videos for you. You can always come back and reference them. A lot of you have asked me, how long will they live there? Will they live there forever? I don't know. They will definitely at least be there through the holidays. So don't worry about that now. They may stay forever. I don't know. It depends on a number of things. But I will go on here live. Please join. You can submit questions to me either through the comments or through DM. You can always message me that way. If you're on Mighty Network, there's a way for you to submit questions to me there. just be patient with me. Facebook has these strange way of notifying people. Sometimes I get notifications, sometimes I don't. Sometimes they show up in different areas. I will try to find all of your questions and make sure I get to them. What else did I want to say about that? Okay, so what we'll be doing is I will be walking you through a challenge each week. And the reason I'm doing that is because I have created a bit of a curriculum for this. And I want to walk you through, like I said, mental and emotional aspects of getting through the holidays. And I have sort of categorized them under these different challenges. So what we'll do with the challenge is on Monday, I will present to you the challenge and let you know what the challenge is for that week. I will tell you a little bit about why we're doing that challenge, what the science is behind it, what the theoretical model is behind it. And then throughout the week, we will go back, we will be talking about that challenge. We'll be building on the concepts of why. You guys will be talking about what doing that challenge is like for you. And you'll be posting about it if you want. Feel free to engage with each other in the group. Obviously, that's what I want you to do. But we will kind of build on that challenge through the week. And then on Friday, we'll wrap up the challenge and sort of see how it went. And we will do that 9 times. I've got 9 different challenges for you guys. And by the end of it, hopefully you'll have a good idea about how to relate to your relationship to food and body differently throughout the holidays. Some different things to be thinking about. I will be giving you tools to work on. A lot of cool support here. As I said, you can always ask me questions. It may be that one of the questions that you have fits into a challenge later, so I might answer it at a later time, but I'll let you know that. Definitely post your questions in there to ask me. The hashtag HFTH, Healthy for the Holidays. It's not just a fun thing that I'm doing. That's the way that it organizes all of this information. So those of you who are not super familiar with Facebook, I can't say that I'm super familiar with Facebook either, but under the topics list at the top of this Facebook group, that's where the hashtag HFTH will be. And so everything related to this that we're doing will be under that. I will tag everything with HFTH. If you guys want to post about something that we're doing in this group, I encourage you to use that hashtag as well so that it's all under that topic, so everybody knows kind of where to find the information for this. So anything having to do with the Healthy for the Holidays series from me will have that HFTH tag on it. That's where you can look up and find the videos. That's where you can go find previous videos that we did, or any worksheets that I posted, or what challenge we're doing this week. All of that stuff will have that HFTH tag. Okay. A couple more things that I'll talk about today, and then I'll just check the comments to see if you guys have any questions. One of the biggest theories or overarching theories that I have about people and their struggle with food and body is that we have been conditioned to focus too much on the context, we've been conditioned to focus too much on the content and not enough on the context. And let me explain what that means. When we are feeling frustrated about our bodies, our weight, our size, shape, whatever it is, whatever emotions you're feeling about your body, we are conditioned to go outside and look for a program, a way of eating, a diet, an exercise plan to make us feel better, right? So we are focused on the content of what we're eating, right? I'm going to do Whole30. I'm going to do keto. I'm going to do paleo. I'm going to do CrossFit. I'm going to do high intensity interval training. That is all content. The issue is that the content just keeps changing. We switch from diet to diet to program to program. This doesn't work. This doesn't work. This doesn't work. The context of who we are, the context is our patterns, the way we use food to cope with emotions, the way we identified food as good or bad, the way we fear food or don't fear food, the way we think about whether or not we're deprived or restricted, the way we think about whether or not we like to work out or not, the way we use food when we're stressed, the way we use food when we're out with our friends, the way we use food when we're happy. That is all context, okay? The context about how we eat, why we eat, who we eat with, when we eat, all of those things, that's all context. And we don't focus nearly enough on context. We focus all on content. Is this good for me or bad for me? Should I eat this or not eat this? Does this have sugar or fat? We focus all of our effort on content when truly everything that we do should stem first from context. So everything we're going to be talking about in here is context. Everything about our relationship to food, the way we view food, coping skills, all of that kind of stuff. What you'll hear me talk about is your food identity. Who are you being with food? You'll hear me talk a lot about that in this, in the next few months. And I will explain to you why that is so incredibly important. And this is what I see as one of the biggest problems with the yo-yo diet industry, is that when you just jump from diet to diet to diet and program to program to program, you bring yourself with you, don't you? You bring yourself with you to every new diet you try, to every new program you try. You bring yourself because you are the context. So it doesn't matter if you're trying Whole30. If you're a person who at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because of a stressful day, sits down to a bag of chips and mindlessly eats them, it doesn't matter if you're doing the Whole30. You're going to sit down in that mindless behavior eventually. You might not for a couple of weeks because you're white knuckling it, or maybe you might even get through the whole 30 days of the Whole30 because you're white knuckling it. But then you're going to go back to the context of who you are. And so until we address this context of who you are, nothing in your content really matters. And that is the concept that we're going to be going into a lot. So that's kind of the foundation for the work that we're doing. I'm looking over here because I have a computer screen and I want to make sure I get all of the things I wanted to say to you today. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to you guys, context versus content. I will be, starting next week, I will be encouraging you guys to post about your daily wins, your weekly wins. This is because of metacognition. So one of the best things that we can do for ourselves when we're trying to change anything in our lives is to be metacognitive about the process. And what that means is that we step outside of ourselves long enough to take a look at how we're doing in relation to what we want to be doing. So for instance, next week's challenge, week 1 challenge is the Is It Worth It challenge. And I'll explain all of that to you all. But what I'm going to have you do on the Is It Worth It challenge is to step outside of yourself and take a look at, okay, how am I doing with this challenge? Am I doing, what she asked me to do? Am I doing what I set out to do? Excuse me. Am I doing what I intended to do? And you want to be metacognitive in the process. Metacognitive truly just means above cognition, right? And so you're going to step outside of your mind and take a look at how you're doing. So when I ask you to post weekly wins, or when I ask you to post what your challenges are, or when I ask you to post how you're doing with the challenge, it's not just because I want you to say things. It's because I want you to train yourself to be metacognitive about the changes you're making. Check in with myself. How am I doing? Okay? So we'll be doing a lot of metacognition throughout this process. Okay, and the last thing I wanted to talk about today before I go check the comments is, yes, we will be starting, some of you know that I run a small group program called The Shift. We will be starting the next round of The Shift in January. This will bump right up against the start of that program. Some of you will want to continue this work and go even deeper and more specific into this work in the Shift program. I will put a link in here. I am going to be giving away one full scholarship to the link, one full scholarship to the Shift program at the end of this or during this process somewhere. And if you want to be considered for that, then I'll have you sign up for the wait list for the Shift. So everybody who's on the wait list for the Shift will be entered or have a chance to win a scholarship to that program, which starts in January. I'll be talking more about that later, but I will put the link in here if you guys want to sign up for the wait list. Okay, I think that's it for today. Let me just check and make sure. Hey, Louie, oh my gosh, I should be checking these comments earlier. And here's what I will say to you guys. I will get distracted if I check the comments too much while we're going. So I will probably check them at the end and just make sure that there's not any questions before I sign off. Oh, it's so good to have you guys here from all over the place. UK, amazing. Um, Rachel asked, will we also be discussing high cortisol stress response and mitigating it? Yes, we will be talking about the stress response and how cortisol plays into that. Yep, I will discuss that later in I almost said the modules, but yes, later in these videos. Absolutely. Hey, Allison. Hey, Louie. So cool. You have to work hard on the inside. Yep. So Louis says you have to work hard on the inside. The content is changing because someone can sell you content. Context is harder to market and sell and doesn't sit on a shelf well. Ain't that the truth? So what Louis is mentioning, and he is so correct, is that it's super easy to sell a diet, right? It's super easy to sell content. Just do this, you'll lose weight. Just do that, you'll lose weight. It's super easy to sell that. It's sexy, right? It's oh my gosh, if I just do that thing, then this will happen for me. It's really sexy. It's really easy to sell. It hits our pain points. Context is much harder to sell because it takes a different commitment, right? It takes a willingness to look at your patterns, be honest with your patterns, a willingness to go outside of the quick fix mentality, a willingness to take a look at what might be just underneath the surface that we really don't want to pay attention to, right? And that's much harder to sell, and believe me, I deal with that every day because that's what I do. It's much harder to attract people to a process that is so much less tangible, that it's when you're doing the Whole30, you're either doing it or you're not, right? Did I stick to the plan of no sugar, no carbs, no da da da, or did I not, right? Rather than when we're working on this context stuff, it's a little bit more malleable. It's a little bit more flexible and fluid. And sometimes we can't always put a tangible tool to it, right? So I'll teach you how to start to address these things and pay attention to these things. And I'm just really, really excited about going through the process with you all. Okay, thank you for showing up today. This is awesome, very introductory. Tomorrow and Friday, I'm going to be giving you some tips about, of course, the Halloween stuff that's coming up. If you guys don't have kids right now or, trick-or-treaters, and that's not a part of your struggle, don't worry. On Monday, we start right into the first challenge that's applicable to everybody. But this is why I start right before Halloween, because I have a lot of parents and a lot of people who tell me that this is truly when the struggle starts over holidays. Is like, I've got the Halloween candy in my house, kids are eating it, I'm eating it. I find myself 2 weeks down the road in November and I've eaten all the kids' extra Halloween candy, and here I am off to the races for the holidays. We don't want to start off that way. So tomorrow and Friday, we're going to really be talking specifically about Halloween stuff and, ways that we can manage our intake there. And then Monday starts our very first challenge. So tomorrow, same time, same place. Friday, look for just the slightly adjusted timing on the invitation. And I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for being here with me. It was really awesome to, yay, you guys are here. It was really awesome to have all of you guys here. Okay, let me see if I can close this and save it. Wish me luck, everyone.